Hi, everyone. Welcome to Curated by Becta's Meal Kit number 156 for July 6th through the 8th. Thanks so much for ordering this week, and thanks for letting us send you some deliciousness at home. So we've got a beautiful menu going on, so why don't we go ahead and get started? First thing to do is preheat your oven to 450 degrees. If you're like me, we've got a convection oven, 425, and toss your smoked fingerling potatoes in some olive oil, salt, and pepper. Be generous with that, and throw them in the oven on a sheet pan with some parchment paper with some salt and pepper, and set a timer for 18 minutes. Beautiful. The next thing we want to do is make sure that your beef short rib is brought to room temperature. Now you want to hit it with some salt and pepper, and you're going to basically be cooking it on or reheating it on two sides. So we're going to put it in the pan, and then I'll bring the salt and pepper over here. So you want it on high, and you want the hood fan on so that you don't smoke the place out. You want a little bit of neutral oil, in my case grapeseed oil, but you can use canola oil or vegetable oil. And you want to sear these guys for 2 minutes per side. Get it nice and hot. Then we're going to baste it with some butter after that. So make sure to get your favorite basting spoon. In this case, that is mine. And while that's happening, we can have a little wine. With the appetizer tonight, we have one of my favorite and really interesting wines. This is an Alchemist from Greece, and it's such a beautiful, briny, delicious wine, and goes perfect with one of Chef Rich's famous salads. This is a real signature dish that we've done a couple times for Curated, but is also on the menu at the restaurants right now. So endive, some whipped feta, we've got a preserved lemon vinaigrette, some black olive tapenade, some toasted almonds, and serrano ham or apples for the vegetarians out there. Cheers. Okay, so while the short ribs are warming up there, get some tongs out because we're going to need to switch them, flip them, and we can season the other side now with salt and pepper. There we go. Hood fan is doing its magic. You can preheat a small saucepan, and this is with our garlic scape jus, and you're going to bring that up to a bit of a simmer, and then we're going to add some butter to it. Some unsalted butter always, so that you can control the amount of salt. And then in another pan, we're going to get ready, slowly warming it up. And again, we're going to do 1 tablespoon per person of neutral oil, and that's for our mushrooms and our green beans, while the potatoes are in there. So this thing is smoking away pretty nicely. The short rib has a nice crust on it. Woo! There we go. So 2 minutes on that. Then we're going to bring the heat down, throw some butter in, do some butter bathing, and then we're going to throw in the oven to roast for 8 minutes. In the meantime, we've got our beautiful endive spears here. Now, put them in a nice mixing bowl. Pour the preserved lemon vinaigrette over top. Get it all in there, all the little bits of gooey deliciousness. So I got to say, this meal kit video is a bit emotional for me. So if you haven't heard already, Curated by Becta, after July 15th, is going to be moving to a special occasion only meal kit program. So we recognize that the world is changing, and we need to as well. And so we know that people really love us for special occasions, but are really back to dining in person now, and we want to acknowledge that. And so I'm going to turn the heat off on this guy and throw some butter in. 1 tablespoon per person, melted down. So after 30,000 meal kits, and it's going to be about 200 weeks now, or 156 weeks of this, plus we've had some special occasion ones, and then the big nights in. It's time that we move. And so we're going to be doing things like Father's Day and Mother's Day, Thanksgiving and Easter, Christmas, New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, and maybe a few more. We've also got some fun other projects going on that we can share with you as they develop. But it's time. People are really excited about dining out indoors again. This was our lifeline during the pandemic. You guys supported us to the ends of the earth, and we are so grateful. But it's the meal kits once a week is just a little much now. So thanks for understanding, all of you amazing regulars who've been ordering on a weekly basis. We're just so grateful. It's been great to come into your living rooms or your offices, wherever you watch these meal kit videos, and into your kitchens with our food. Okay, so short ribs going in. Hey Google, set a timer for 8 minutes. So I like using my gas for everything. So why don't we go ahead and get started on our veg. I'm going to warm up the pan a little bit, make sure that our sauce is doing okay. Almost simmering. We don't need the hood fan anymore, so we can turn that off. Let's go back to our appetizer, our signature appetizer. And so the endive is going to come stacked up. So make sure that you separate things out so that each of the endive spears gets a nice coating of this preserved lemon vinaigrette. And don't forget to add the salt and pepper, which I think I did on the first time. And if not, it's going to be over seasoned, but that's okay. You know, every once in a while to have some bloopers on film, it's not a bad thing. And so it turns out that I've always plated this incorrectly in the past. The chef's like, why are you in the 1980s with your plating style? And that's a good question. So line these up. We probably have more than is required, but instead of doing it like a fan, like the 1980s, we're going to line them up in a row. There's a lot of endive here, but we want it all. Maybe not the little guy. Little guy can be off to the side. And then we've got some of this extra preserved lemon vinaigrette. Let's get it all on there. Oh, ha 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 ha. Look at me. I forgot the whipped feta. That needs to go down first. So I'm going to clean up the plates real quick. And we're going to try this again, shall we? I just want to clean up the edges because the vinaigrette that's on there in the center, let's keep it there. Nothing wrong with that. Our whipped feta, divided equally. And spread it all around. The plate, because that offers the creamy deliciousness and that little tang of the acidity in the feta. And that plays off so well with this Greek white that we've got going on. So hopefully when you guys make a couple of mistakes at home, you don't feel so bad, because I do as well on a pretty regular basis. All right, I want to keep all of that good stuff there. Now we can go back, and I bet you this will be even easier to plate because it's got something to stick to. All right, looking good. Let's put the small guys on the outside, build it up towards the center. And again, the vinaigrette can go back on there. I probably had a few more extra minutes to be doing this. So mushrooms are now going in. We can turn that up to medium heat. Hit it with some salt and pepper, because what the salt is going to do especially is it's going to draw the moisture out of the mushrooms, and it's going to be used to steam the other stuff. Okay, so let's plate the rest of the appetizer. So we've got our black olive tapenade. Do your best to spread it out somewhat equally on your pieces of endive so that each piece of endive gets its own little bit of tapenade. This guy is just extraneous. It's just too much. How much endive do we want in our lives? We want some, but we don't need it all. We'll probably send you with a couple less pieces of endive because there's only so much you need. This guy is good. We've got half a tablespoon per person of the butter that's going in, melted into the garlic scape jus. Our mushrooms doing well. And then the green beans are going to be going in there in just a second. Now, got our toasted almonds. I'm really wanting our chef Rich to be proud of me on how I'm plating this salad, because apparently I've been doing it wrong all along. So Rich, if you're watching, this one is for you. I got a little paper towel to clean up the plate. And then we've got our Serrano ham or apples. And we're going to crisp that up. Just break it so that it comes off nicely and it's divided evenly as much as you can in the endive. All right, looking good. Mushrooms, I think it said 3 minutes. For the mushrooms, 5 minutes. Season with salt and pepper. They're looking pretty dry, so I'm going to add a little bit more oil to the pan because we don't want them to dry out and burn. Okay. Give that little guy a stir. Let's see how we're doing. Our extraneous endive over here. This is looking good. But always nice to clean it up and make the decoration very nice. So there is our endive salad with the whipped feta, toasted almonds, black olive tapenade, and our crispy Serrano ham or apples for vegetarians. All right, main course stuff. Let's get down to business. Okay, time for some green beans and some butter. 1 tablespoon per person of unsalted butter. Don't need that. This will be needed for later. It's time we had a little taste of the red. It's paired up with tonight's meal. This is an A de I from Pago in Spain. One of my favorite wines, Cabernet and Graciano and Garnacha. And it's just delicious. It's got beautiful acidity that will work well with the short rib, but enough richness to hold up to it. Okay, turn that down just a little bit. Hey Google, how much time's left on the timer? Perfect. Hey Google, off. The smell of the smoked short ribs and the smoked potatoes is intoxicating coming out of the oven. Now the short ribs we're going to put here. We're going to leave the pan with the butter around a little bit because we can just dredge it through there to warm it up and to glisten it a little bit at the end. So the short ribs you want to rest for between 3 and 5 minutes. And that causes the juices to go back into the center and make it super delicious and tasty. So why don't we go ahead and plate the dessert at this point. Now you want to leave this into the fridge until closer to you're ready to enjoy it. We've got a blueberry cheesecake with a graham crumble and blueberry coulis. I love using a little bowl for this. I'm going to do the graham crumble first. And then the coulis afterwards, so it really pops. So simple and so delicious. It's blueberry season. There we go. All right. Veg is probably good and ready to go. I'm going to turn that off. Going to hit it with some more salt and pepper. Who knew that you could just cook green beans in a few minutes by just throwing them in the pan with some mushrooms and butter? By the way, I'm going to season the beef a little bit. We've seasoned it to start, but nothing wrong with a little bit of extra. Hey Google, how much time's left on the timer? There we go. Hey Google, cancel the timer. I'm sure our potatoes are ready to go. Smoked fingerling, who would have thought? Take them out, put them on the plate. It smells like campfire. It smells like, you know, we're camping. I'm going to miss doing these videos every week. We're still going to be doing them on special occasions, but, you know, this has been a huge part of our existence for 3 years. I just recorded a little Instagram video, and, you know, I got a little teary. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting time. Okay, so I've got my tongs. Out the green beans and mushrooms. We probably sent too many home with me, so you might get a little bit less because there's a lot here. I'm going to do them up so it looks good for the Instagram shots. And our son, who has been working so hard at his new landscaping job, is going to be super hungry because he's actually working tonight at a restaurant, his last shift at a restaurant for the summer, before the summertime. And yeah, the guy's going to be starving when he gets home. It's 40 degrees outside all day today. Okay, so here we go. Beef short rib. Dredge it through the butter a little bit. Why not? Get a nice little glistening. There we go. Right on top. And time for a little garlic scape jus. Just got a fine little film on top, which is exactly what you want. I'm going to do a little bit of sauce on top and then around the plate. Thank you all to everyone who is watching this video, who continues to order from us and continues to support us. I hope we get to see you in the restaurant real soon, and I hope we get to curate for you at home on special occasions. In the meantime, ta-da, our braised beef, smoked and braised beef short ribs with the green beans and mushrooms and smoked fingerling potatoes, and the jus made from garlic scapes. Have a great weekend.